Let's talk about cancel culture, which is kind of a risky thing to talk about. It's my first video. I'm gonna get canceled on my first video. Okay, so I was thinking about this today because my wife told me about a story about someone she's followed for a long time who basically got canceled because, you know, someone with a rather large follower base found out which political party she supported. And so we were talking a little bit about, you know, whether that's right or wrong, good or bad. So the first thing I think to understand is that cancel culture is not new. Cancel culture has been around for a really long time. It just used to go by a different name. We used to call it boycotting. And the modern boycott or cancel culture is much more powerful than it used to be, largely because of the internet, for better or worse. Boycotting can have an important and powerful role in society because it can help regulate certain behaviors without needing the government to step in and regulate things, which can be good, depending on what your views of government are. But it also means that people with a large follower base have a lot of power when it comes to boycotting because they hold influence over their follower base, hence the name influencer. And so that power can be easily abused. And so it's important to remain cognizant of the fact that just because someone has access to a camera and the internet doesn't mean that they have any clue of what they're talking about. Case in point is me, right? I mean, this video potentially could reach millions of people, which of course it won't, but the point is it could, and I don't really know that much more than anyone else, but if I manage to convince a few people that I do, then my words will carry a lot more weight than maybe they should. And so, you know, be careful of who you're listening to, because a lot of times what ends up happening is it's just the blind leading the blind, and you wind up with people who are just spouting off their opinion as though it were fact, and because, you know, they're popular or famous or something, that opinion ends up seeming to be worth a lot more than it actually is. One other thing I want to mention is, you know, we're very selective on the things that we cancel. So for instance, you know, when we find out that the company that makes our favorite brand of clothes or laptops is engaged in, you know, child labor overseas or something like that, and they knew about it for a long time and they moved way too slow, or so-and-so is polluting the environment or whatever, you know, we conveniently just kind of ignore those things because we're getting something that we want out of it. And then these other ones that, you know, maybe we don't care about, you know, someone online who we're not getting any value from, or some company we've never heard of, and we find out, oh, they did this one thing, let's go ahead and cancel them because, you know, I'm not getting any of their stuff, so I don't care. So it's just kind of interesting to me that, you know, people seem to be very selective on what they cancel. You know, there's plenty of examples of people trying to cancel stuff over things that seem pretty insignificant, whereas, you know, there's other companies that have like real documented evidence of like really big moral issues, and that just kind of gets swept under the rug because people need their phone, I guess. One of the big problems with cancel culture today, because it's become so powerful, is we're seeing like a really large amount of boycotts, and, you know, the internet connects like-minded people, and even if you're in a minority opinion, the internet is capable of making it seem like a majority of opinion, because all you need to find is, you know, a small percentage of the population, and normally without the internet those people would never find each other in order to, you know, get together and say, oh yeah, I agree, and organize and create their agenda. So the internet connects them, but it also provides a platform, you know, a soapbox or whatever you want to call it, for which they can stand on top and shout to the masses. And so it can really make minority opinions seem like a bigger deal than they are. And so that can be dangerous. As consumers of information, it's important that we are responsible for coming up with our own opinions of certain things and not just going, making decisions and parroting things that the people we follow say just because we follow them. You're your own individual person, and you can have disagreements with people and still, follow them or be friends with them. At work, we disagree all the time. It's usually about work-related stuff, but everyone recognizes that the disagreement is important because that's where the learning and the growth comes from, and so we continue to do it. It's important not to just agree with everyone, and it's even more important not to not just surround yourself with people that agree with you. You need to spend time around people that have different opinions, because that helps you grow as an individual, because no one knows it all. When we have disagreements with people, we act as though our opinion is correct, and how could anyone think any differently? Like, it just seems so obvious, like, I know the answer, why don't they see it? But it doesn't work that way. And you learn one thing about someone you've never met before, you've never talked to them, like, oh, you supported so-and-so, therefore and then you assign all these big labels to them, even though you know absolutely nothing about them. And that's not a good thing. You have to be the change you want to see in the world, and it all starts with you. And so I guess the way to look at it would be, we should spend more time looking in the mirror than out the window to find the things that we want to fix in the world. We all have plenty of flaws to work on, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't criticize things in the world that we believe are wrong. You should absolutely stand up for what you believe in, but there is a line, and I think for me personally, I draw the line at not jumping to big conclusions based on limited information, and spending more time worrying about the things that I can improve in myself than in other people and the world. Because I have my certain opinions about the way things are going wrong and how I would do it differently. But we also have to recognize that your ideas might not be the right one, and the way you get closer to the best solution for you and for everyone is by having the discussion with people that disagree with you and not jumping to that conclusion. When you have these discussions, you could have two potential objectives. One would be to learn something, which means you approach the conversation with understanding, which is what I'm trying to advocate for. And the other one, your other objective, would be to win. And so that's that's just an argument rather than a discussion. And so I would say it's always better to approach a situation in an attempt to understand, because it will help you to understand the other person better. It will help you understand your own opinions more, and you can both grow and hopefully come closer together on a solution, rather than just demonizing one another, driving that divide further apart, and just canceling everything until we got nothing left. All right, that's it for today.